Welcome back, everyone, to another unnerving episode of the Unseen R, the podcast where folklore, darkness, and human fear intersect in the most unsettling of ways. I'm your host, Mark Bishop, and tonight we're diving into a tale from deep within the ancient forests of Eastern Europe. These are the woods of twisted trees and forgotten trails, places where one wrong turn might lead not to safety, but to her.
You can almost hear the forest breathing when you talk about her, Mark. It makes perfect sense because the figure we're exploring tonight is one of the most elusive, terrifying, and strangely revered beings in all of Slavic folklore. She's called Baba Yaga, and her story is full of contradictions, a figure both feared and sought out, both monstrous and wise, always unpredictable.
That contradiction is one of the most fascinating parts for me. She's not your typical witch. There's no broomstick, no bubbling cauldron. Baba Yaga rides through the skies in a mortar, steering with a pestle, sweeping her tracks with a broom made of silver birch. And then there's her house, a hut perched on giant chicken legs. It spins, it groans, and it only opens when commanded with the right phrase.
It's one of the most vivid, unsettling images in any folklore tradition, and what's more unnerving is how she's never just one thing. Baba Yaga appears in dozens of stories throughout Eastern Europe, mostly in Russian and Ukrainian tales. And she wears many masks. Sometimes she's the villain, other times a twisted sort of helper. But always, and this is the key, always a force to be reckoned with.
Let's take a step back. For listeners who may not be familiar with Baba Yaga at all, can you walk us through where she comes from?
Sure, the name Baba Yaga roughly translates to something like grandmother witch, but even the word Yaga has many meanings. Some scholars believe it comes from ancient Slavic words for disease or horror. Others think it's tied to Indo-European roots for rage or pain. She first shows up in written form in the 1700s, but the oral traditions go back far earlier, potentially thousands of years, passed down from village to village, around fires, and in whispers.
And she's always in the forest, right?
Yes, always. The forest is her dominion, but not just any part of the forest. It's the liminal spaces, the dark, in-between places where the path narrows, where sunlight doesn't reach, where sound carries in strange ways. She exists at the threshold, not just physically but spiritually, the line between civilization and wilderness, between life and death. Her hut stands right at that boundary.
The first time I read about her hut, spinning in place, doorless unless summoned, it felt surreal, but it also felt incredibly symbolic.
Exactly. The hut is more than a creepy house. It represents her role as gatekeeper. To find Baba Yaga is to approach the unknown, and to approach her is to risk everything. She doesn't merely dwell in the forest. She is the forest mouthpiece, its fury, its challenge. She is the test.
And unlike many figures in folklore who appear by accident or come uninvited, people actually go looking for Baba Yaga.
That's what sets her apart. Heroes and heroines in Russian folk tales often seek her out to ask for wisdom, help, or something lost. But it's never straightforward. There's always a price, always a test, and she does not give without reason in most tales. The ones who succeed are those who are clever, respectful, or kind, but even that doesn't guarantee mercy.
She judges people, but not like a fair trial.
No, not at all. Her tests are brutal and arbitrary. You might be asked to cook dinner, or sweep a floor, or solve a riddle. Fail, and she eats you. Literally, succeed, and you might gain the thing you were looking for, or something much worse. It's as though her stories teach that power and wisdom must be earned through suffering, and even then, luck plays a role.
So she's a judge, a predator, a wise woman, a symbol of the wild, and already, we've barely scratched the surface.
Right, because she's not a character, she's an archetype, a force. She represents death and rebirth, chaos and discipline, nature's unforgiving beauty and cruelty. And she changes depending on who's telling the tale, which makes her all the more enigmatic.
Coming up in the next chapter, we'll dive into some of the darkest stories surrounding Baba Yaga, tales of those who found her hut, passed her tests, or were never seen again.
And we'll talk about the real fears behind the folklore, why people needed her in their stories, and what she still means today.
Stay with us. The forest is only getting darker.